What's up, Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader, here with probably one of the most important video lessons you'll ever see, just to help you understand why I love low price stocks so much. We haven't had a huge supernova like this in quite a while. But every time this stuff happens, so many people say, I've never seen anything like this. And then some of my, dedicated students, if you actually click the link below, I'll link to my challenge. That's where all my most dedicated students are. I get a ton of messages from them saying, wow, it's repeating again. So there's two groups. And the question is, which group are you in? Are you in the group where you've never seen anything like this? So it's literally impossible to trade a stock like this. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I only made a few $1,000s off this one specifically today, but I am in the group where I've seen a lot of these plays. So I didn't just trade SPI, but I also traded the other supernova today, SUNW. Underestimated both of them. But which group are you in? Leave a comment below this video. Say, have you ever seen, supernova stocks like this that can quadruple like SUNW did, or stocks that go up, from the ones to the 40s. I don't even know what that is in one day. It's literally like, let me just see, what is the high? 46, and you had to really get up early for the news, call it like $1.55. So 46, let me pull in a calculator here. 46 divided by $1.55. This is 29 times your money in a few hours. And mind you, this thing traded 340 plus million shares. Each one of these candles on the volume, it's trading millions of shares per minute. So have you seen plays like this, or is this your first time seeing it? And don't feel bad if it's your first time seeing it. As long as you've seen it now, that's the biggest thing. I don't even know where to begin. So many students to congratulate. I guess I'll start with myself. Made 13 grand today after yesterday making 14 grand, now up 30 grand in 3 days this week. 10K a day keeps the real job away. 10K a day keeps my students saying yay. This is my tweet, literally. But props to students. Last count was over 500,000, but more and more people are messaging me. Do me a favor and tweet me, because everyone's messaging me on so many different platforms. Twitter, I find, is the best platform for me just to organize everything. Props to everybody, whether you made a lot, whether you made a little. By the way, this is not me, Timothy Sykes 004, or any other username. I have no other usernames. You'll see that I have a verified check mark on my name right here. Okay, I have no other usernames. This is it. I don't know where to start. There's so many students to congratulate. Eddie, $300, and I'll go into the details too, but I trade in order to teach. I prioritize my students. Whether you made $2 a share, $248. Johnny made $4 a share on SPI. John Papa made 2,113 minutes. Peter, 500 on the day, best day so far. Jay made nearly $2 a share on SPI. Kelly, Kelly was just responding in response to me. $47 profit. I kept posting charts of SPI, and I was buying SPI since the threes, by the way. And I'll get into that in a second. Let me just congratulate a few more students. Nick, 12 minutes of work, banked, not just in terms of money, but with a knowledge account. Lamb Chop wrote up SPI. Jude says, I know what I'm talking about. You won't regret it. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Ahmad saw BPTH last year in 2019, and now, banked on SPI. So BPTH was, frankly, one of the best supernovas in the past few years. And that was when it went literally just from a few dollars a share all the way up to $70 over 3 days. But now everything has sped up because this market is infinitely hotter than it was in 2019. And SPI is, just literally from the ones to the 40s in one day. So I banked on it from, trading it in the threes. I rebought it in the tens, sold way too soon both times. So don't feel like, you have to be perfect. I actually made more on DGLY. This was a riot play. Stocks to trade with the breaking news right when, sadly, the whole Breonna Taylor situation is just really creating a lot more um, just just real sadness and possible violence. DGLY makes body cameras for police, so it's kind of like a riot play in case there's riots the next few days, which seems sadly likely. So I was buying it in here. I was so early. The biggest run up happened literally 2 hours later. So I was early on that. SPI, when I was buying it in the threes, I mean, it really didn't start surging that much early on. Like the news was, okay, they came out with a new electric vehicle. But really, this big spike here, I was buying it here in the 10s. So I was close, but I also sold it in the 11s. But I was close to the big breakout. This is a short squeeze, okay? Unfortunately, a lot of people have not adapted away from short selling. A lot of my top students have banked in years past short selling. But if you listen to like Tim Grittani and a lot of my top students this year, they're making more from going long. And this is a classic example why I rarely ever short. This thing went from literally the 15s to the 40s in under 20 minutes. I know, sadly, a lot of short sellers who were short here thinking that it was up too much. When I was buying it in the threes, I saw they called it was a Sykes pump, as if I'm pumping this when it's trading millions of shares per minute. And I, took a lousy 10% in the morning and then another 10% here. This is not a Sykes pump. This is just, how these stocks act right now. And a lot of shorts got crushed. My prayers, condolences go out to the short sellers. But again, I'm also grateful for their ignorance and lack of preparation and over aggressive behavior. They're the ones who create these short squeezes. So as much as I want, to not have people lose big, first of all, short sellers don't listen to me. They don't listen to anybody. They're like, the most stubborn people. And even when they lose big or, increase their likelihood of having a heart attack by 50 times by shorting these plays, they just like the action. They're just degenerate gamblers. And to be fair, this stock did come down. So the short sellers aren't wrong on a fundamental basis. They're just wrong on a risk reward basis. SPI is not a good company. They probably will have an offering. So I understand the short thesis, but I just don't think they quite understand the risks. I know a few short sellers. I'm not here to rub salt in the wounds, but I'm here to warn others against flawed and inherently risky strategies, especially right now. I know a few short sellers that were shorting in the $7 to $15 a share range, and they got absolutely crushed. So my apologies to them. My hearts go out to their families for having just a degenerate gambler who risks blowing up. That's not a fun person to be around. That's just, it's never going to end well, whether it's this play or a future play. BPTH, last year blew up a few short sellers that I knew. Several short sellers who had been shorting for years and they had made millions of dollars and they blew up all on one play. So I don't want you making that mistake. That's why I'm proud to show those other students. I actually did, even though while I'm condemning shorts, I shorted today. WRTC, I had a great short right in here in the 7s. CK Alpha had an expose that, this company has a non-lethal weapon for police forces. They did a trial with the LAPD, which theoretically could be the most useful, biggest contract, and the trial basically failed. So, terrible news. And they're basically a one product company. So I shorted this in the 7s. E-Trade had shares to short. I covered it in the low 7s, trading just literally very safely. This was my trade. I did a lot of trades, but I made roughly $2,000 on that short. And then it tanked literally like another $2 a share. So I traded too carefully on my short. I traded too carefully on my SPI long. DGLY, my riot play, I was 2 hours too early. I want you to see that I'm not perfect. There's just so much freaking opportunity. It's insane. The play that I did the best on was SUNW. And that one, was frankly just given to me by one of my students. This was at 1:50 p.m. and I said buying this SPI sympathy play, dip off its spike highs. This was when SPI was at 27. So SPI hadn't even hit the 40s yet. But I was buying this, and I was buying this, literally right in here when it started going supernova. And I sold, right in here. This was my whole play, and I made a few $1,000s. The thing quadrupled, freaking quadrupled. Okay. So quadruple my potential profit on that one. I totally underestimated it. But again, if I'm making, $3,000 on DGLY, left about 20 grand on the table here, making 4 grand, left about, I don't know, another 15 grand on the table. I mean, I could have had a $50,000 day just on these two alone, but I take my safe profits. So when people congratulate me, wow, 13 grand in a day, understand I am taking a very small percentage of the overall move. And then I tried some late day moves with EVUS, XTRM, nothing really doing. The whole market was tanking. By the way, as I'm filming this, the NASDAQ got crushed all day, down 4% nearly. Really broken chart. The S&P 500 broken chart. We're just up so much. And I've been warning all September and October are the 2 months that have the most crashes, specifically the last week of September, if you go back historically. So this isn't a huge surprise. Everyone should be prepared. If the market had been hotter, I mean, who knows? SPI could have gone to, 100. You just don't know how high these things go. But I'm glad I'm taking safe profits, 13 grand, like I said, on the day. Now 100 grand or 98 grand on the month for September, which is cool. And now let me just plug in this. Now nearly 800,000 on the year. And I donate 100% of this to charity. So I'm very proud to, donate to so many different causes. A lot of people asked about SUNW. How did I spot this as a sympathy play? And I have a secret. I have successful students, okay? Successful students who also teach. And the first person I saw, alert was Roland here. And this is my newest millionaire student. I'm going to link below. There are going to be 2 links below. One for my challenge, because that's where Roland came from. He's turned 4,000 now into over $1 million. He made 10,000 plus today, but he bought SUNW, I think at 88 cents. And that was like right in here when it was taking out the day high, or looked like it was getting close to taking out the day high. And he sold it too soon. I think he sold it around $1.60. I think he doubled his money on that one, like 10 grand, which is awesome, but again, the thing went to the 4s. So he underestimated that. Also, not just Roland alerted it, but it was actually, hold on, let me find this other student. This is my challenge chat room. So if you do apply to be in my challenge, you get the weekly webinars. I did a Q&A webinar tonight. Next week, I'm actually doing an all-day live trading event on Friday. So be ready for that, challenge students, and anybody else who wants to trade live all day with me. But the challenge has its own chat room, and it's just a lot of extra sets of eyes. And here is Huddy. He just crossed 500,000. This was at 11:34 a.m. and he said SUNW potential sympathy play to SPI. So that might have been right when Roland was buying it. I don't know exactly when Roland bought it. I know he was in at 88 cents, but this is also Huddy alerting it. I did not see this, to be fair. I found SUNW through Huddy, but not at 11:34 a.m. It was his next message right here at 1:47. And he said, SUNW, nice push, arguably the best sympathy play out there right now. And so this was when 1:47 p.m. Again, this is the beauty of time stamping. I can't tell you how many of my critics and doubters are like, you weren't trading SUNW. It's easy to look back. I'm like, yo, everything's timestamped. This is the beauty of being real. 1:47 p.m. was right here. And this is when I bought, because I did see that in my challenge chat room, and I bought it right here. And again, I sold it like right here. I made my like 20%. I didn't know that SPI was going to go up that much. I didn't know that SUNW was going to go up that much. So as much as I can take credit for, teaching these patterns, I usually trade too safely on all of my plays, on all literally the biggest plays. SUNW, I traded too safely, the thing quadrupled. SPI, I traded it twice and the thing, quadrupled actually for my last buy too. DGLY, I sold it. 2 hours later, the thing spikes 50%. So I'm on the right track. But even with my $13,000, I want you to understand that I am not the best trader. I'm really early sometimes. I err on the side of caution, and that's why it's so crazy to me, when people say, oh, there's not a lot of money. Like, I'm not trading with the biggest account. There's just so much opportunity, and that is what I'm so glad that so many people saw today. In a market where the Dow is down 500 plus. So I'm going to link to Roland's newsletter. I really think you should learn from him. He's got a great set of eyes where, I've taught him patterns, but he's also worked to create his own patterns. And then, again, if you want to get into my challenge chat room, I'll link my challenge too. And it's not just Huddy. I mean, look at Roy right behind him. He said already made almost 6K. It's pretty crazy. And he was shorting it, and now he's dip buying. So you can short it, you can dip buy, you buy breakouts. Everyone has, slightly different patterns that they're best at. But the key is that, you just have so much volatility. This is why, it's laughable to me that people rip on low price stocks like DGLY. I mean, they make police body cameras. If there's going to be a potential riot, this stock theoretically should spike. It spikes every time there's riots. And I thought that this was it, and I was a little disappointed, but I said, hey, I'll lock in the few thousand. Then 2 hours later, more people realize it, and it really spikes. SPI, I think I made like $2,000 total. SUNW, I made like $4,000. So I'm just taking my singles. But there is so much opportunity long and short, and I want you to capitalize. That's it. Even though I underestimated it, I mean, I was on the right track. There are, pretty predictable patterns here, very similar patterns where if you watch enough of my video lessons, DVDs, webinars, you'll see these patterns playing out again and again. So while a lot of, unprepared, stubborn, degenerate action, gambling, gunslinging, loving short sellers were shorting here saying, I saw one short seller saying, no way, right here when it had gone from 12 down to 10, and then it got up to 15-ish, and then it was right here kind of like for a few seconds. I mean, and I saw the short seller saying, no way can it get much higher than 15. This is the highest it can go. And then it triples. I mean, this was at 1:34 p.m. This was at 2:05. So the stock triples in 30 minutes. So anytime a short seller says, no, it can't go much higher, this is best case scenario, tell them to shut up. Seriously, tell them to shut their narrow-minded mouths up. Stop typing, stop, poisoning social media with their just idiocy and narrow-mindedness. Because this is the thing that I hate. As much money as there is to be made, whether you're buying breakouts like I like or you're dip buying, I didn't touch it, by the way, on the way down. I was just scared. It was very choppy. Same thing with SUNW. Wasn't touching it afterwards. I was buying the breakouts. I was frankly scared by the cross current of the overall nasty market. But anytime a short seller says, no, a stock can't do that, say, yes, it can. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me, okay? You shut your mouth, you dirty, stupid, unprepared, naive, stubborn, just ill-researched short seller who risks blowing up just by living, just by promoting your BS strategy. And mind you, I've made millions of dollars shorting, but you do not have to take big risks shorting. You do not step in front of a freaking bulldozer to try to collect pennies. It's just stupid. So there have been many people who said, Tim, why do you teach short selling? I teach short selling in a very safe way. My short today on WRTC, this was a freaking gimme. They have one product and the biggest police trial failed. And, like I said, I played it too safely. I locked in my roughly $2,000, coulda, woulda, shoulda been over 10 grand. So even though I'm banking, even though I'm experienced, I'm trading everything very, very safely. That's just me. And yet I've still made roughly $6 million now, nearly $1 million this year. So you can trade these stocks safely. And because of the tremendous volatility, both long and short, you can really bank. That's today's lesson. Even if you didn't bank, even if you missed it, even if you're paper trading, even if you're trading with small size, add this to your knowledge account. I always say you have two accounts, your knowledge account and your monetary account. Today was a huge day for a lot of people with their monetary account, but even more people with their knowledge account. And please tweet at me, send me your feedback, whether you learned, whether you see the patterns now, or whether you earned or whether you lost. Like, just tweet at me. Twitter is the easiest way for me to communicate. I will retweet you, but be careful again with the Twitter usernames. I have a lot of imposters. If you see any other username without a verified badge, just report and block them. There's always going to be scammers. There's always going to be imposters. I'm sorry. It's a shady industry. But leave a comment below if you've seen supernovas like SPI before in SUNW, where you can quadruple or octuple your money in a few minutes. Let me know. And also, please do click the link below. I'm going to give you a free presentation with Roland. And I'm also going to include the link to the challenge. If you want to be a dedicated student, you tell me. Have a good night. I'm going to go just, I don't know, have some good food.